You're poor because you hate debt. But the people buying yachts and private jets and skyscrapers, they love debt. They use it as a secret cheat code, while most people, they run from it. The rich, they actually run towards it. And that's the difference between trading time for money and compounding wealth at scale. Let me explain. So most of us grew up hearing one thing, that debt is dangerous. Stay away from it. Cut your credit cards, pay off your loans at all costs. That's the gospel of the middle class. But here's the truth. Debt isn't the enemy. Bad debt is. Bad debt funds liabilities, cars, vacations, clothes, things that actually lose value the moment that you buy them. You heard the saying, driving a car off the lot, it decreases in value by half. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Good debt funds assets though, businesses, real estate, stocks, things that grow in value, that spin off more money. This is where the fork in the road happens. The middle class avoids all debt. The wealthy avoid bad debt, but embrace good debt like it's oxygen. So here's the kicker. Most people don't even realize that they're already living in a system that runs on debt. We'll get to more of that in a minute. However, first, let's talk about how the rich actually use debt themselves. Imagine you got $1 million in cash. The average person thinks, finally, I can buy the house outright. One roof, no payments, and I got safety years to come. Well, guess what? The wealthy, they think totally different, way different playbook. They'll put $200,000 down, borrow the other $800,000, and guess what? They use the rest of that cash to buy more properties and businesses. That $1 million just became $5 million worth of assets, and those assets are growing and compounding 5x faster. That's leverage. That's how you go from security mindset to wealth mindset. But it gets even crazier. Debt doesn't just multiply money, it helps you avoid taxes as well. So it goes like this. When you sell an asset, you trigger capital gains taxes. Uncle Sam takes a slice and you gotta pay the piper. But if you borrow against it, no taxes. It's tax-free liquidity. I actually did a video on that earlier. And that's exactly why Jeff Bezos borrowed $8.5 billion against Amazon stock. By the way, another video on that as well. And why Mark Zuckerberg borrowed $100 million to buy property. They kept ownership, avoided taxes, and they let their wealth keep compounding untouched. It's crazy. This is billionaires thinking. That's the buy, borrow, die strategy. Sounds dark, right? But this is literally the billionaires playbook. Okay, so here's how it works. 1, buy appreciating assets. 2, borrow against them for liquidity. 3, die. That's the only thing that's guaranteed in life, so don't hate me, okay? And when you do die, your heirs, they inherit those assets with what's called a step up in basis, basically wiping out the unrealized gains for tax purposes. So wealth compounds, taxes minimized, and the cycle repeats over and over again. Meanwhile, what is the average person doing? They're selling assets, they're paying taxes, and shrinking wealth every single year, while the banks, they get richer off your lack of knowledge. See the contrast? So as we all know, the world runs on debt. This isn't just billionaires. Debt is literally the operating system of the economy. Apple holds $100 billion in bonds. Amazon, they run logistics with credit. And the US government, should we even talk about that? $34 trillion in debt as of like last month. Debt isn't weakness, it's ultimate power, if you know how to use it though. And here's the secret. Most business owners don't even realize the rocket fuel sitting right in front of them. So the wealthy, they rarely fund growth with their own cash. They use OPM, other people's money, or what the Jewish call guilt. And this looks like this: 0% APR business credit cards, lines of credit backed by cash flow. Third, bank loans secured against collateral. They're always finding something else to make things work. So why risk your hard-earned dollars when banks will happily give you theirs, right? Instead of the banks making money off you, you're actually making money off the banks. And this is where the exact shift that separates the scrappy small businesses from the scalable ones takes place. So here's an example of how this actually worked in my life. I didn't just pay off my debt, I actually leveraged it. The mindset was there like, I gotta pay this off. But then I thought about it and said, wait, I need to leverage this to actually make more money off it. And how did this happen? I shifted high interest balances over to 0% APR cards. I directed every bit of cash flow in the growth investments instead of shrinking expenses. And I scaled assets that ultimately generated revenue. A few years later, $25 million in assets under my control. Same playbook, different outcome. This was all done with $400,000 to $500,000 in credit card capability and credit available, all stemmed from a good credit score, which link below. I talk about these in a school group that may benefit you, but I digress. So the benefit here is this: learning credit, learning how to leverage, and ultimately learning the rules of debt, which are this: debt for consumption equals poverty. Debt for assets equals wealth. So let me simplify this one more time so it sticks. Liabilities pull you backwards. Assets, they compound you forward. The poor borrow to buy things that ultimately drain them, while the rich, they buy things to pay them. Like that? And the crazy part, you don't even need billions to play this game. You just need to reframe how you look at credit. So here's how it works. You can start here. Use credit float for cash flow, not lifestyle. No luxury purchases on credit cards. That is bad. Take advantage of 0 APR windows, even if this means shifting balances, which that will be required. Certain cards will expire. Others, you could write a check and pay off that debt and bring it over to those. So you have to learn the game here. And last, treat your credit profile as an asset. This comes up again, not just a score. You have to master this, because mastering credit makes life easy. And it's the same mechanics that billionaires use, just scaled to your level. Because you're not poor because of debt, you're poor because you fear it. And fear keeps you locked out of the very system that creates wealth. So here's the truth bomb. Debt isn't the villain, it's the tool. The question is, are you going to use it to build someone else's empire or build your own? And if you're getting value from this, I put together some free resources that go even deeper on how to structure credit cards and leverage this for business growth, right? All about credit, credit cards, and exactly what I did to get to where I'm at. Link below in the school group. So this can actually work if you really put your mind to it. How did this work for me? I had one business, 80K in debt. We were living in California, moved out of California. We were getting cast for the profit, 2 rounds of casting, almost went on the show with Marcus Lemonis, but we never got selected for many reasons. We work with many big clients. Within a couple of years, I was able to turn that business completely around, where we started doing $2 million projects plus. Now, this is the example of how to use debt the correct way. I use cards, I use loans, I use specific transfers, all of this. I go into detail on a future video that I'll make. Don't worry, it will come out. But this is the mindset shift. I was in the scarcity mindset. I needed to be in the growth mindset. And that shift put us into great positions. So thanks, guys. Hope you got value out of this video. See you on the next one.